The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
This is Harley David Smith.
This is the Muffer.
And this is Gunny from O.D.D, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have HDS, Gunny, and the Muffer from O.D.D. They have a new EP that's out right now called The Disorder, and it's out via Pavement Entertainment. And we're going to be talking to those guys about this EP that they just released and working with Pavement Entertainment. So, guys, how's it going?
Going good, John. Thanks for having us.
Glad to have you guys on here. And they hail from Georgia, folks. So some good metal coming from the state of Georgia, which is always good to see.
Yeah, man.
How's it been working with Pavement Entertainment on this, guys?
Man, it's been great, man. Those guys are they're very supportive. They're very attuned to the bands like us who are out here trying to continue to play live, real rock and roll. You know, and try to bring it to the forefront, you know, as much as possible, where, you know, rock and roll seems to have taken a back seat a little bit more these days. But, you know, like us, they're in the same mind of trying to keep it alive and promote it. And it's been great, man. I've had a great experience with them.
What's impressed you guys or excited you the most about this EP, The Disorder? What's caught your eye about it the most, guys, if anything?
Oh, good old HDS, Harley David Smith.
Barely Abelson. Just, you know, the riffs, the song riffs, and, you know, they're exciting to play live. They come off really good live. You know, some bands you go out and see, they don't kind of put off the same energy as you would when you hear the CD. You're like, oh, or the opposite. The CD is not that, and then the band, you go see a band and they kick your ass. You know, we're trying to give the audience the same reaction when they listen to the CD as they do when they come to see the band. So that's kind of exciting, and we want to kind of keep that momentum going, you know.
The Disorder was recorded with no samples. It's all real drum sounds, real bass sounds, real guitar sounds. Mm-hmm. There's no auto-tune on there. It's all done the way it used to be done years ago.
No tricks.
With the exception of digital recording, you know.
Yeah, it's recorded digitally. There's not a lot of overdubs, and so it's exciting too. Is the fact that, you know, kind of doing it again in this day of everybody going in digitally, manipulating all their stuff. You know, if it's not played in time when you listen to the songs on the CD, it's not fixed with Pro Tools. It's like, nope, go back and do it again. You know, so we have the luxury of our own studio, so we have the luxury of time to do that. So, you know, that's cool about this to us is, again, so what you see and what you hear is what you get on the CD and live. And, of course, getting it distributed worldwide now with Pavement and Sony is hopefully going to take it to another level and a wider audience.
I want to get this in here before I forget it. When I first listened to this 4-track EP from you guys, it made me think of the old band Systematic, if anybody remembers that band. They're raw. I like the sound of the tone of the guitars. This puts me in mind of Systematic, but in a good way. And I'm glad that there's another band out there that's doing what you guys are doing right now. So I like that gritty southern metal rock, as I should call it. It's not southern rock, folks, not by any chance at all. It's good heavy metal music.
But yeah, you hear we're definitely Southern boys. Well, David's transplanted New York Yankee, but
when I was 10,
yeah. So we're everything we do is colored with the South influence. So for sure. But yeah, we're not a Southern rock band.
Right. So, like I said, this is a 4-track EP. For each of you guys, are there any songs off the EP that stand out more than any on as of right now possible to each of you guys? I mean, I know this is like picking your favorite collectible or child, but is there anyone that stick out for you guys?
Well, I suppose from just strictly an airplay point of view, the single that we have out now that's been picked up by some stations, Loud Fighter, we were really excited about that when the recording was completed, listening to all the vocal harmonies and the melody with the song and the groove. We're real excited about that one. And then I think all three of us will agree that The View, the last song on there, is always exciting to play. And it was, of all of our songs in our repertoire, that was the most difficult song to put together as a band and play tight.
Yeah. But yeah, and also with Loud Fighter, we've got the video for that out that, we did ourselves. And, that one, we get a lot of great reaction to that one live after the show. People that have seen us multiple times that have never seen us before come up, and that one always sticks out
I never
to
thought
people.
that would even happen.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah, so that's the reaction to Loud Fighter in particular has been awesome just about every time we play live.
Now, you mentioned that you guys did this in your own recording studio. Do you guys like to do it yourself versus having the producer in the studio with you, or would you like to work with a producer at times? But I mean, this gives you the opportunity to work on it when you guys want to work on it.
Yeah, HDS, he's a real creative force behind the band, and he's the one that has honed his skills in the studio probably for at least the last 10 years. In fact, we released kind of a 3-song demo several years back that was more demo quality level, and he really stepped it up with the Disorder, with the quality level of recording. But having your own studio and then also getting into the videographer business, we've invested some money in that, for lack of a better word.
It's not really a business because we're not making money, but
No.
hobby.
Yeah. Just so we can make our own, and we're learning.
Yeah. We're trying to save money, and doing stuff yourself seems to be the way to go these days anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, budget wise, it's DIY, but hopefully it's DIY too. Hopefully you can hear in the quality of it, that David has put into the mixing and everything, that hopefully it doesn't sound DIY.
Right. We looked into working with a producer before we put this out, and it's just so costly. They want, thousands of dollars just to sit down and tell you how you need to play your music. And it's like, well,
we gave a guy, an independent producer, one of the tracks and just had him do some remixes on it on his own to see what he would put on it. And, he did his thing, and, it's all subjective, but, we didn't really we liked what we did better, so that's what we went with. So, and each one has merit, but, we like doing it ourselves. We live or die by our own sword on this one,
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like you guys said, a lot of bands are doing it yourself these days because they just don't have that money to fork out, and it's very expensive, very, very expensive.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully it sounds like it's not done. There are a lot of bands out there, hey, my buddy's got a studio, and it sounds like, hey, my buddy's got a studio.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make it, hopefully it doesn't sound like, I did it next door at my neighbor's house. You know what I mean?
So here's the $1 million question. I'm going to put HDS on the spot here with you guys. Working with HDS as the producers, do you like him as the producer, or do you like HDS as the band member? Oh, buddy. Oh.
I actually love mixing and arranging music, so it's kind of natural for me. I've played in a lot of different original bands before this, and I've always been interested in the recording process with all these bands, but this seems to be it's all on me now. So it's, I've learned a lot over the years, and I like doing it. I'm not opposed to working with any producer. I would love to. If somebody wants to sign us and say, hey, you're going to work with this guy, then
yeah,
sure.
If they want to send us Rick Rubin, send him on it.
Yeah. And I mean, and who knows what could happen with something like that. But like I said previous, I hope that when people hear it, they're like, God, I wonder who produced that, or, where'd they record that? I'm hoping that's the reaction that we're getting. And it sounds like in a lot of instances so far with Pavement that's what we're getting. So that's, it's flattering, and it's nice to see a lot of hard work start to pay off.
Yeah. It does sound good. I will give you that. The EP does sound good. It sounds crystal clear. That's what I like.
Awesome.
Some don't sound crystal clear. You hear the muffles and stuff with it.
Yeah.
A Muffer. Muffler.
Well, they're wah, 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 wah.
And I go by David, so a lot of people, this HDS business is just kind of like, my name is David Smith. Okay, so how cool is it to be? Hey, on guitar we got David Smith. So, a while, many years ago, I rode Harleys, and a buddy I used to play with, he goes, "Oh, Harley David Smith," and I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," So it kind of stuck as a little stage kind of rock and roll name, and so we just kind of, if when people say Gunny, Hart, HDS, and Muffer, it sounds like we're, the Muppet Band or something. But, it's just kind of
like Kiss, man, the Demon, the
yeah,
Star Child,
exactly,
the Cat, the Spaceman,
exactly.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
to the modern age.
So, what do you guys hope people take away from this EP, or message you hope they hear while listening to it, or just any of your guys' music at all? What do you hope that they get from it?
Well, I'll speak up for David, HDS, because I know thematically what he writes about. So most of these ideas are triggered by something that just simply pisses him off.
No, that's not true. It's the stuff I write about is real life situations, and a few of the songs are, bad relationship type songs, and then, one of the songs is kind of a political song, and that's definitely some anger involved in that.
There's a song, Loud Fighter's Regret.
Well, yeah, Loud Fighter is
It's
about,
a deep meaning.
yeah, it's about, when my dad passed, and that kind of came from that life lesson learned, But there's always some kind of meaning behind the songs, and I guess if people listen to the lyrics enough and kind of read them, they'll understand and maybe have some kind of same instances. Just like a lot of people connect with songs that they've heard, and oh, I really know what you're talking about. Hopefully that kind of stuff works.
But on top of that, we hope they just rock out.
Yeah.
And go, that kicked my ass, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know or care what it's about. It just rocks. And I'm going to go buy it and go see them live.
Yeah.
And then, so all of it. So we hope people take away that they grab the meaning to everything, but then also just, get their kicks.
Not looking
some
into it
rock.
too deep.
Yeah, it's just at the core, it's just rock and roll, man. But we don't just naturally write about partying and drinking and
chicks,
all that. Nothing wrong with that. We've been through all that, lived that, but it's, there's enough people doing that. So
Right.
We're doing our thing.
So how much growth musically have you seen yourselves go through, and this band, up to the release of this EP, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you involved with it?
I think musically, since we've been together as a band for the past 5 years and writing and developing and recording and playing these songs live, we've really grown as a band together and individually. I know for me on bass, playing with David especially is really upped my game. And the attention that we're getting and the bigger gigs we're doing, we all just have to be on top of it, at all times. I think when you listen to I don't know if you've got a copy of the first EP that was kind of more of a demo, a couple of the songs on there, I think there's a real growth in the songwriting over the past few years. And we've even got new songs now that are not recorded yet that are even, for the next release that are even a step above what we've got out there now. So, the chemistry we have together just forces us all to want to be better and keep growing and hopefully, keep progressing as musicians and individually and as a band as we go.
And we're probably, that I know, one of the only, not one of, but one of the few local bands that still get together and rehearse on a weekly basis, whether we have a gig, whether we're writing ideas, we get together at least once a week without fail. And rehearse and, talk shit that we don't want to talk about in band business, but we always end up playing, at least a little bit before the end of the night.
See, and that's awesome chemistry. You don't find that much in bands these days, honestly. And I'm not knocking anybody out there, but that's the God's honest truth.
Well, we've been the same. I mean, it's been this lineup once we solidified Kenny, is that me and Dave were working together trying to find a drummer for about a year or so before we got Kenny. And, you know, we see a lot of bands changing members and, you know, filling in and getting guys to fill in. And we're the kind of band where if one of us can't make a gig for whatever reason, we don't do the gig. It's like we can't get somebody to fill in for any one of us. And so the fact that we've been able to hold it together with the same lineup for 5 years and still can, you know, is it's fairly rare these days.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Sure.
We also we do work at trying to stay cognizant of mutual respect for each other, and it's kind of like a marriage, you know. I mean, we approach it similarly. All three of us, we're the same, but we're different in certain ways, and we do have slightly different personal situations.
And there's no sex involved, so it's just like marriage.
Marriage, but no sex. These guys can speak for themselves.
You got to watch your split personalities, guys.
Right. Exactly.
So when you guys come into the studio, do you do anything differently during that writing and recording process to help keep your mind fresh and open to new ideas and not let the music get stale? Do you do anything differently?
Well, mostly we get the ideas going when we're all together in the practice room. So that helps to keep things nice and fresh. You know, then in the studio, it's kind of hard to answer. I mean, we just, you know, try different things for different sounds and different techniques. And it's, you know, it's a pretty simple process at the end of the day.
I mean, and David records a lot of different ideas on his phone during
yeah,
rehearsal.
that's what I was going to say. Even when I'm at home by myself, you know, I got this nice big studio upstairs, but a lot of times I'll be sitting in the house just playing my guitar, and I'll come up with a riff, and I'll get my phone out and just hit record. And then it's cool to hear some of the songs off this EP. Actually, I have little phone recordings of just me sitting in the den, you know, just playing, and it's cool to see how it.
I had an idea.
No. Sorry, man, we kind of went off.
Sorry.
I know where he's going with this. So I don't know if we answered your question or not, but we went off
Fair
on
game.
a tangent there.
It's
but,
all right. It's
yeah.
cool. So what can folks expect at a show from O.D.D. who have not got to see you guys live as yet? When they come and see you, what are they going to get?
Like you're getting run over by a freight train.
Ooh.
I mean, really, pretty much, man. I mean, that's, you know, we're only 3 guys, but when we play live, all the vocals are live. There are no tracks involved, no backing tracks. What you see and what you hear is what you get, mistakes and all. But we hear all the time, every show without fail, man, I can't believe the sound coming out of you guys with only 3 guys up there.
Yep.
It sounds like 10 guys up there.
Yeah, that's kind of.
And it's because we work really hard on our individual sounds and, you know, just the way we present ourselves live. And we just, you know, nothing fancy, you know, we just get out there and deliver the goods as best as we can.
Keep the energy up.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
We touched on this just a little bit earlier about the digital era that we're in right now, but do you guys like this of recording albums that way? And plus, you know, to get music out quicker, and plus social media to reach out to more fans who have not got to hear of O.D.D. as of yet?
You know, you just got to kind of go with the times, you know, and the social media and the whole digital era. I mean, it's, you know, you join them or you bow out. I mean, it's the way of the world. Yeah. You know, there's no way around it. So you just kind of adapt to it as best you can.
So to answer your question, we've had to learn how to rethink the way things are done because we're old school guys.
Yeah.
We came up back when people used to look forward to the next record coming out from their favorite band, and not everybody had access to a high quality recording studio. Record labels, record labels were the gatekeepers, and that was the only way into success. And it's taken us all 5 years to
start to figure it out.
Study it, figure it out, accept certain things that are just reality.
And we talked about doing full-length records, and, you know, the attention span these days, you know, people will pick 1 or 2 songs. So why not just record 1 or 2 songs or 3 songs at a time and put them out there, you know, and make them good songs, you know, people, you know, that people will like and not have to spend a whole bunch of money on, and, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing about nowadays is like the attention span of people, us included. It gets shorter and shorter. I mean, and so you got to grab them, and so that's kind of a bummer. But again, you have to adapt to it, or try to adapt to it. Like I said, we're old school guys, man. So we're learning every day about all that, for sure.
And plus, back, early 80s, even before that, I always hear people saying, we got to get a record deal, and then we'll get an album out and stuff like that. You don't hear that these days, no more whatsoever, hardly, at all.
Yeah.
No.
So
I was watching a Ty Tabor interview, and he was talking about King's X playing for years and years and years, and the goal was to get a record deal. He said, we were packing out rooms as just a road band before we even got signed. He said we got signed, and he said all of a sudden we were nobody again. And he said, really, a record deal doesn't mean anything. Right. He said, you got a record out. He said, you still got to go out and bust your ass and get out there and be seen in front of people. And that was really just,
I mean, and similarly, that's really what's happened to us, because we're kind of a fairly high-profile band locally in the Atlanta area, and we get on a lot of good shows and that sort of thing. And now we're being cast out there, and we're competing with all the big dogs. Mm-hmm. It's a sobering reality.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, record deals are the past, or you don't need a record deal anymore. So I mean, that's good and bad of the digital age and social media. It's like there are people out there doing great that have never had a traditional record deal. Mm-hmm. So there's also people out there just putting out, whatever. And if you can market it correctly on YouTube or whatever,
you got to work just as hard. In a different area.
So it's, record deals of the past are that's over. It's not necessary.
In your guys' own opinion, what does O.D.D bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, if anything, possibly?
I think we're a little bit different. Sometimes we use the phrase "too metal for rock, too rock for metal." We in some ways we kind of fall between those two musical categories, because we obviously have the melodic vocals and the melody to the songs, yet the instrumentation is very grinding with a lot of elements of metal. So we think that we successfully fall in between. For better or worse, we fall between those two categories.
I think you just listen to the EP next to other stuff. I think it's hard to pinpoint, but I think you just hear something a little bit different than what is normally going on out there. Kind of hard to put your finger on it, but if you're listening to a radio show, when people, maybe internet radio, and you hear O.D.D in amongst, 50 other bands within a couple of hours, I don't know, man. I just think you hear something a little bit different, just a little bit. It's we're not reinventing the wheel or breaking any new ground, but I just think that the way we approach it and deliver it, I think you can hear that. I may be totally delusional in that assessment, but that's the way it comes off, to me, if I try to listen to it objectively.
You think you're a rock star?
No, I am a rock star. I don't think I know. In my own mind.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, we're getting silly.
He does one interview.
Yeah, we are silly.
He does one interview and his mind got blown. What the hell?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not going to be able to live with me anymore.
So for each of you, what made you want to become a musician? What was it spark that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there?
Kiss Alive.
One. Kiss Alive one, all three of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I was 7 years old. Actually, I think before that, my mom had bought me for Christmas a little, and I hate telling the story because I sing in the band, but I never really consider myself a singer. Even though I like singing, I'm like, I want no part of fronting a band and being a lead singer, But when I was a kid, she bought me a microphone and a little amp, and I would sing through it. And then I got Kiss Alive, because I got 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and my older siblings, they were all into, Sabbath and Heart and, Frampton, Elton John, all these, big bands back in the 70s. And, they got me that Kiss Alive record for Christmas, and I was like, holy crap. And I think I got a drum set that year as well, like a little Sears it had Mickey Mouse on the front. And I beat the crap out of that thing. And then I just, started playing music. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a freaking musician, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And I just never, I hated school. I had no plans in life but to be a musician, and here I am, still trying.
No plans.
Yeah, with no plans. But it was the Kiss Alive record for me,
Yeah.
at a very young age. And
Same here.
Yeah, man. That's
That's
all
all I
of it.
started playing.
It's almost right there. Iron Maiden Wrathchild is what got me playing bass, though. But Kiss Alive was what put that spark in there to be like, yeah, there's something going on there.
man, I mean, the fire and the blood, and I mean, that was just like, oh my God, that was just like, and even today, watching that shit on TV, on that,
Still time.
yeah, watching the on the Saturday night special or whatever, midnight special, they're doing that live set, and it was just, I could imagine.
It was dangerous
being,
back then.
yeah, I mean, they were throwing drums off the riser and the fire, and oh man, it was just the heels, the makeup. I mean, that was. I mean, great songs too. They had great songs. A lot of musicians think Kiss are terrible, but the early days of Kiss, I mean,
That was it. That was the shit.
man,
Oh, yeah.
those guys were just,
Yeah, back
Yeah.
their early stuff just fucking knocked it out of the ballpark.
yeah, man,
They do,
just
man.
rock and
You know.
roll. You know what I mean? Nothing fancy, just fucking, just in your face, and
Yeah, man.
it was awesome.
It's amazing how.
And then I
here-
got into Rush, and then
That's. I think Gunny moved kind of in the Iron Maiden direction, and both David and I got into Rush at that point in time as drummers.
yeah,
Like a lot of drummers,
yeah.
appreciating Neil.
Yeah, and I was like, Geddy Lee, no, that's Steve Harris is hard enough to try to cop. Geddy, no, I'm gonna leave him alone. He's all right. He can do his thing, man. And then-
So we have a lot of musical influences, but
Yeah.
early on, it was the Kiss, I think, for everybody. That
sparked it.
yeah.
What's so funny is I go back and I read a lot of stuff about these old bands like Aerosmith and especially Kiss. It's hard for me to imagine that Kiss was almost done after one album because it bombed for some reason. I don't know if it was the first album or second album, but they were almost done. And then Aerosmith,
Like
the
3
same-
albums worth, right?
Was it-
Yeah,
was it
I
3
think
albums?
reading their history, by the time they got to the live album, that they had released 3 studio albums, and Rock and
Right.
Roll All Night was anything that grabbed any traction on radio. And I think their manager was broke, and so was the record label.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a last attempt.
And then
Kind of like the Rush 2112.
Aerosmith was the same way until was it? God, what saved them? Was it Run DMC?
Boys in the Attic, probably.
See, it's crazy. Those bands were almost gone, and then just the rock god shined down on them, and said, "No,
Yeah.
you're not done yet."
Yeah, somebody once told us that a lot of people out there in the public, that once they hear of a band, they think they're an overnight onto the scene type of band.
Yeah.
But most of them will have been around for 5 to 7 years working hard, and we fall into that category.
I'll buy an album and start playing it, and one of my friends will be like, "Man, that's their brand new album. That's their first album ever." No, it ain't. No, that band's got about 3 or 4 albums. It's not even actually had a label to put out. So no, this is label wise first one. Before lots. Oh yeah,
Exactly.
there's lots of work goes into it. So do you guys have a show or a moment that stands out to you that made you guys say this really is worth everything we've put into this so far?
We've had the opportunity to open some shows. Well, a band we haven't mentioned, King's X, is another big influence on us. And so we recently got to open a show for them here locally. And, that was, those were one of those moments where all the BS that you put up with business-wise and all the hours of rehearsing, you get on a stage, like that in front of one of your favorite bands, and the room is packed, and you start, you got the fans of them standing there with their arms folded going, well, who the fuck are these guys? And then after a few minutes, then they're rocking out to you, and, and you're up there and it sounds good. And it's like, yeah, man, this makes, all the bullshit worth it. So all those moments come live a lot, whether it's opening for a national like that, which we've opened for Skid Row and LA Guns. We're about to go on a short little run of dates in December with LA Guns in the Midwest. And, those kind of moments are just, that's what makes it all worth it, for sure.
It's kind of like that scene in Blues Brothers where they're playing on stage and they've got the chicken wire up in front of them and they're playing rawhide and everybody's like, what the fuck is this?
Exactly. We've been there. We've been there almost.
How can folks stay in touch with you all, buy some merchandise, this album, tour dates, and everything like that? How can you do that?
ODDtheband.com for one.
Yeah, they can get the tour dates off of there. We're also about to launch a digital merch store for folks that aren't able to get out to our shows to buy physical merch. Right. It's a drop shipment type business, and we're going to have a bunch of different designs of shirts and hats and whatnot out there. And then as far as the Disorder itself, right now we're selling physical CDs at shows, and through Pavement, digital downloads are available through Amazon and iTunes.
Before I let you guys go, would you care to do a promo for the show? One of you guys or all you guys, either how y'all want to do it.
Yeah. This is Harley David Smith.
This is the Muffer.
And this is Gunny from O.D.D, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please check out BODS Mayhem Hour's Facebook page. Our podcast link is also on there, and our YouTube link is on there as well. Also, please check out the band O.D.D. I'm telling you right now, folks, they got some great music. This EP is pretty much badass. Check it out. You'll like them. Thanks, guys, so much for doing the interview with me today.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it, man. Stay in touch with us, all right?